President Biden has promised to nominate the first black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court.
The president says he will announce his pick by the end of February. President Biden formally announced the liberal justice will retire Stephen Breyer at the end of the current court session in June. It paves the way for the president to make what could likely be his only Supreme Court nomination during his time in office.
For more on this, let's bring in Alan Jenkins. He is a professor of practice at Harvard Law. We thank you for joining us. We've heard a lot of names tossed around over the past couple of days. Do we know who's on the short list?
We do. It's remarkable. America is getting to see the deep, deep bench of black women who are highly qualified to sit on the highest court in the land. Not two, not three, dozens. And so the level of achievement is really remarkable. Among the names that we're hearing as frontrunners are Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who's on the D.C. Circuit, which is considered to be the second most powerful court in the country, a former public defender. We're hearing about Justice Leandra Kruger, who is a California State Supreme Court justice and has argued many cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. But there are many others. J. Michelle Charles in South Carolina, federal district court judge. Wilhelmina Wright, one of my law school classmates from back in the day in Minnesota. Even Sherilyn Ifill, the remarkable former director counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and law professor. So President Biden has a really, really rich group from which to choose.
So many qualified candidates, but having a black woman on the Supreme Court, how does that change the face of the court?
Well, this nominee is going to serve for maybe 30, possibly 40 years. And so she's going to be bringing a set of experiences as a woman of color, as a black woman, as someone born in the latter half of the 20th century, and ruling on all kinds of things, some of which we probably can't even imagine right now. So we know she'll be considering the future of diversity and university admissions next term because the court has selected a case on that topic. But I expect there are going to be disputes arising out of algorithms in online and social media and the privacy implications of that, the potential for discrimination, genetic discrimination and privacy issues, disputes coming out of extreme climate change, which unfortunately we're likely to see in the years ahead. And so I think there's going to be a wide range of issues and causes that this new justice will be weighing in on.
Do you think the selection process will be an uphill battle, meaning the confirmation process? And that being the case, if it is in fact the case, how many of these women have actually been through a confirmation process?
Well, I don't expect that it's going to be as rancorous as some that we have seen in the past, Justice Kavanaugh, for example, in part because this nomination is not going to immediately change the ideological alignment of the court. But there will be disputes and pushback, no doubt. And so Judge Brown Jackson has already been through the confirmation process and received several Republican votes. All of the federal judges on the list, Judge Charles, Judge Wright, Judge Abrams Gardner, a number of them have already been confirmed for other positions. I do think, though, one thing you're going to see, and you see this every time when there's an elevation of someone from a lower federal court to the Supreme Court, senators saying, well, but this is a different position and different considerations come into play. That doesn't mean that they're going to change their votes, but it does mean we can't assume that a vote to confirm someone for a different position is going to correspond to one for this position.
Obviously, there is time for people to look back on Justice Breyer's legacy, the mark that he left on the court. What is the one largest mark, the biggest part of his legacy that he leaves behind there?
Well, you know, judicially, Justice Breyer was known for working behind the scenes to preserve the right to abortion, the right to the ability for universities to consider diversity, and a number of other topics. I think for me, one of the things that he brought that was so important was a commitment to explaining the Supreme Court's decisions and decision-making and the law in a language that everyday people could understand. And he really spent a lot of time. Often it kind of came off as pedantic. You might feel like you're, hearing from an elementary school teacher, but it was important because, in an era in which there's declining respect for institutions, people need to understand why a decision is being made, and he always took time to do that. So I hope whoever President Biden selects will continue in that tradition.
So interesting, the timing of it, too, with some of those cases that he has such a huge, with abortion rights and also, obviously, the diversity. Alan Jenkins, thank you for the time and the insight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.